Hello and welcome back to Paranormal NL Podcast, located in Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada. That's PNL Podcast for short. I'm your host and founder, Jen Noseworthy. Thank you for tuning in to UPRN, United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 FM on that Gulf. For tonight's Wayne's Weird and Wonderful Paranormal Special on UPRN segment number 41. I've got a special guest tonight waiting backstage from the UK who I'll bring on shortly. Now it's time to grab your favorite cold one, a few munchies, and get ready for the spooky show tonight. Paranormal NL Podcast is sponsored by the Bog Team. It's a boots on the ground Bog Team doing historical paranormal investigations in Newfoundland, Canada. PNL Podcast believes in supporting international paranormal networking and highlighting global paranormal people, places, and things. Follow PNL Podcast and the Bog Team on their Linktree Paranormal NL Podcast. Now let's get on with the show. Here he comes, all the way from the UK, Wayne Seaden. Welcome.
Good evening.
Yes, welcome back, should I say. I had you on a while ago, back in season 2, before I was on UPRN, episode 124 with a few of your friends that you know. Got to give a shout out to Willow Morgan. And who else did we have on? I think we had Nick and Moulet and then Lynn Murphy on that night too.
Yeah.
But Wayne, let's talk about you, Mr. Spooky. Tell us all about you and your wonderful weird and world.
It certainly is a weird and wonderful world.
So how did all this come about, Wayne Spooky Nori? Tell us about you and how it all became.
Well, I mean, I have to start right at the beginning.
Yeah.
For me, and I always believed in spirit from about the age of 6, after my grandfather was killed in an accident.
Oh,
and for about 6 months after, I was saying to my parents, my granddad's visiting. Granddad's coming into my room in the evenings. And my mum was like, well, it's because you miss him so much that your brain is telling you he's there.
Oh, and yeah. So she wasn't quite sure what to think, hey?
Yeah. She just thought it was because I missed him so much, because my grandfather taught me how to read before I even started school.
Okay.
So I was quite a bit further ahead when it came to reading than most of the other children in my class.
Right.
And all of a sudden, this link in my life had just been removed. And I was closer to my grandfather than I was any other member of my family. So to have him gone just like that,
it must have been hard.
It was a huge shock. But excuse the background. That was just my ghost going back into the living room.
That's no worries. You know what? I forgot to tell you. Look what I brought. Look what I brought for you, Wayne. I'm gonna take this off the stage and hold this up. Ooh. I've got an England shirt here. My husband said, "Show him this and see what he thinks."
Oh, David Beckham's shirt.
I got an older one there. Yeah. Sorry, since we went off topic.
But yeah, I mean, so my mum was sort of a bit concerned about what was going on, and the child psychologist had said, you know, maybe one time try and record the conversations he's having. Because she said, you know, she's gone past my bedroom, she could hear me talking to someone. And she was quite good at shorthand. So one night she'd sat outside my bedroom and actually wrote down the conversation I was having.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
It worked out about 45 minutes long.
No way.
And it was a full-blown conversation. And when she took it to the child psychologist, he looked at it and he said, there's something not quite right, because when somebody is dreaming or they're imagining somebody's there, you wouldn't have a standard conversation. It would be question after question after question. You wouldn't hear any answers, but the questions asked would not be related to the previous ones. And this is where making a conversation is different. Like you and I are now, You would ask a question, I would give you an answer, and the chances would be your next question would be related to my answer.
Well, like case in point, Wayne, she had mentioned record it. Were you able to record it, or did you try?
She didn't record it, but what she did footnotes. So
Yeah,
she was good at
shorthand.
shorthand.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
So she wrote the conversations down. And when they worked it out, it was about 45 minutes long. But most of the questions had answers, but they all related to each other right the way down the line.
Yeah, like a normal conversation would be.
Like
That's
a normal
amazing.
conversation.
And any of those things that she wrote down, like let her know kind of thing that it was him?
When it was asking about family members, how was everybody? How was my mum bearing up? How was my sister? How was my nan, ultimately? And my cousins and my auntie and uncle. But after 6 months, it just phased out. And we were like, well, why has it just stopped? And I thought, well, maybe it's because he thinks he knows I'm going to be okay. And so he was more at rest. But things had happened to me throughout the future. I had 3 instances where technically I should have lost my life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I haven't. And my mum is adamant that it's my granddad watching over me.
Well, a lot of people have spirit guides, and I think everybody has a spirit guide, whether you know who they are or not.
I must be the lucky one because I have 2.
2. Awesome. Well, some people have a spirit guide animal and a human.
And I've got 2 humans.
Nice.
One female, one male. One's my granddad.
Yeah.
And one is a lady called Joanne.
Joanne.
But from the age of around 6 and 7, I always had an interest in the paranormal. So I was always reading books, watching documentaries and films, and that was always part and parcel of me. And it wasn't until I was about 15 or 16 when I was going out with my friends that we'd go to abandoned places and so-called haunted areas,
right?
Including the shipyard where my granddad was killed.
Oh, okay.
And
did he show up there too? At the shipyard?
I think he did.
Yeah.
Simply because there was at the time all the buildings we thought were all blocked off. All the windows were all boarded up. The doorways were all nailed shut.
Right.
You couldn't physically get into most of the buildings, but one building you could get into, but you had to walk along a 3-inch wide ledge that dropped into the river if you fell off.
Oh my gosh.
It wasn't a very nice river either. And you had to go down one side of the warehouse, around the back, which was facing the river.
Right.
Round the other side, and then up a ladder onto the roof. You then walked across the top of the roof, down the other side, and then in through a window.
And at that age, you didn't mind doing stuff like that, right?
We thought it was a big adventure. We were having a laugh. We thought it was brilliant.
Right.
But once you got inside this building, all the floorboards had gone, and it was just the main support beams. Oh. So you had to sort of like hop from one beam to the other until you got into this doorway. And this doorway led down into a house, which was also boarded up. And we went down the stairs, and a couple of my friends turned right. Me and a friend turned left. And as I walked in, what greeted me, I still can't get out of my head. It's always going to be there. I will never forget that image. But there was an elderly gentleman sitting in a chair, and he had a hand-rolled cigarette in his hand, and it was burned. You could see the smoke coming off it.
Wow.
Now, my granddad had very distinctive skin.
Right.
He was second in command of a motor torpedo boat during the Second World War.
Oh, well, thank you for his service.
He spent some time over in Florida.
In Florida. Okay.
Yeah. And he tanned very nicely. So he'd got a very tanned skin.
As do you, I see.
that's local summer, that is for me. My skin is going rather brown.
Yeah,
But you could see the veins in his hands through the skin. His skin was quite thin.
that's amazing.
Um, but it was the hand rolled cigarette, and
Yeah,
it was still burning.
I
So I'm
bet it
like,
is.
right,
Sage burning
that
away.
scared the living daylights out of us because we didn't understand how somebody could have got in there.
So he
Uh,
looked, full on apparition, full on real.
All I could see was his hand up to sort of halfway along his forearm on the
Did
arm
he
of the chair.
did he say anything?
Not a thing, and we didn't
No.
we didn't stick around to find
You're
out
like, yeah, we're
um,
leaving.
because me and my friend went, no, there's no way you could have got in there. We're off, and we literally met up with the other couple at the bottom of the stairs, got back out of there straight away, and we're standing outside, and we could not understand how anybody could have got in there if they were aged.
But you know what's
'Cause,
good about that though, Wayne? Other people were there and saw it too.
yeah,
So, it reifies the fact that, hey,
yeah,
there's
my
something going
my
on. Like,
friend,
I'm not nuts. There's stuff there and everybody's seen it, right?
yeah, yeah, my friend would not talk about it. He was too scared, and that was because of what followed up. We went into another building, and the only way you could get into the building was by going underneath it. The building was suspended on stilts, and the only way you could get in was by going underneath through a trap door that led
Okay.
up into the middle of the building.
Right.
We went in, and in what was used to be the clocking in office, there was a piece of wood on the floor, and written on it in black pen was, "May the ghost of Fred Payne haunt the people that brought this and sold this place out."
Alrighty then.
And Fred Payne was my granddad.
Ooh.
And we said, that's it. And I vowed I would never go back down there.
You're like, yeah, we're
Um,
leaving. We're done now.
so I literally, I just walked away from it all. And then I joined the Royal Air Force
Thank you for your service, Wayne.
in 1991. I was then made redundant, courtesy of the powers that be being told they had to reduce their numbers. And I was sort of like last on the list, so I got my marching orders and I had to leave. But then what that then did was it allowed me to pursue my interest
Okay.
in the paranormal a lot more.
Right.
And so while I was working at my jobs at the weekends or in the evenings when I had no work on, I was able to go out and about and do my own thing.
Did you ever have any experiences in the service, Wayne? Or any of your buddies?
I have seen a few things, but under the Official Secrets Act, I can't tell anything.
Right, yeah. Because you said you had a few, near-death experiences. Now, were they active service
One of them
events?
was while I was in the RAF,
Okay.
and that was courtesy of an unexploded shell in a crater.
Oh my gosh.
And something told me I had to get out of this crater, and I did. And 30 seconds after I left, it blew up.
So your spirit guide literally was looking out for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Something told me I had to get out of there because that wasn't the right place to be. So I got out, and no sooner had I moved, the shell went. So I was very lucky because it was, from what we could gather, it was right where I was standing.
Wow.
I was right near it and didn't realise. So
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
it could have very easily have been the end of me. But the other two experiences were, one of them was when I was 5 years old. I had an accident and I lost so much blood that the doctors had said I shouldn't be alive.
Wow.
But I was, and I ended up cracking my head open in two places. So I have a scar over my eye there,
Ouch.
and a scar in the middle.
You were a very adventurous kid.
Yeah, I thought I was Evil Knievel.
Most boys
And
do,
I
right?
had this little bike, and I went down a hill, and at the bottom of the hill there was a small mound which we used as a ramp.
Right.
Only problem was my bike had different ideas to what I had. I started off as Evil Knievel. I ended up as Superman, and then very almost ended up 6 foot under, simply because the bike carried on along the ground, and I carried on up in the air.
Yeah.
unfortunately, I came back down head first, and I decided I was going to have a friendship with a rock on the floor.
Ouch.
So I've headbutted this rock, and one of the guys that lived on this hill heard me screaming, came down and picked me up and took me back to my mum's. But
thank goodness he was there.
Even to this day, I mean, 45 years later, I can see in my own mind, I can see the trail of blood that I'd left from where I had the accident.
Yeah, that must have been a pretty traumatic accident for sure.
It was horrible. And apparently, according to my mother, the only time I actually cried was when I had a tetanus injection.
Oh, really?
And it was because it was in my backside.
No, couldn't see what was going on back there.
All the rest of the time, he's stitching up my head, and I'm looking at him going, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then when he gave me the tetanus injection, I screamed. Yeah. And then the second time I was driving a coach. So I started working for my parents, driving coaches. And we borrowed a coach from another company, and the brakes failed.
Oh, geez.
And I had to make a split decision on, I had three choices. I could either veer off to the left and go through trees and into a lake.
Right.
And most likely would have killed myself and at least two other people at the front of the coach. I could have turned right onto oncoming traffic and killed possibly myself and whoever's coming the other way, or going into the back of a lorry that was in front of me. And I opted for going into the lorry, because then the chances would be it would only take me out. I managed to slow the vehicle down enough, but it wasn't enough to stop completely. And all I remember then was closing my eyes and saying, right, it's time for me to go. Closed my eyes, and I can remember hearing all of the windscreen smashing and the front of the coach crumpling up.
Oh my gosh.
And then all I heard was someone calling my name. And when I opened my eyes, I'm still sitting behind the steering wheel. Nothing of the front of the coach. All of the front of the coach was almost behind me.
Wow.
But I heard the spokesman for the team, calling my name. And I've looked at him and he goes, "You all right?" And I went, "Hang on a minute and I'll let you know." I've got out from behind the steering wheel. I've shut the engine off. And I've got off the bus. I've lit up a cigarette and I've gone up and find everybody off. The lorry driver had phoned for the police and the ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
And he told them about the impact, and they both, the police and the ambulance, turned up with a body bag expecting me to be dead.
Oh my gosh.
And they came out and they looked at the front of the coach. They couldn't believe what they were looking at. And then they said, "Where's the driver? He's not in the driver's seat." And I went, "That will be me."
Oh,
and
man.
They went, "Hey, this isn't right.
Are you sure you're not Superman?"
Yeah, you're standing there smoking a cigarette, fine, like there's nothing happened. And I went, "Well, I'm all right." And they said, "Well, we better take the body bags back then, haven't we?" And we all started laughing. And again, my mum said, "That's your granddad. He's looking over you, and he's making sure you're safe."
Definitely,
and I'm like,
100%. And you've had so many different experiences that definitely put you closer to the edge for seeing beyond. A lot of people who have those experiences all tell me the same thing. Ever since then, they have more paranormal, and they say, well, the more you look at it, the more it looks at you, right?
Yeah. I mean, from that, I started working with the TV show Most Haunted.
Right.
And I was working on their Facebook page. I was working within the groups. I was going to the public events. I then ended up running the southern events of the UK for Carl and Yvette. And we were sort of going out and about to different venues around the south of the UK and working in the different locations for them. And I enjoyed it for a while. And then I hate to say it, but I saw the cracks. The cracks in the paintwork were starting to appear, and I saw things I didn't like seeing. And I've always been the sort of person that is proud to do what they do. And I wouldn't allow egos or fakery take over.
Right, like some
So
of
I,
these shows that we see on TV,
yeah.
Yeah,
So I just said, no, I can't be doing this. This is not me.
yeah,
I won't tolerate it. So I phoned Fred Batt up, who's the demonologist on the show. And I
right.
said to him, I'm sorry, Fred, I've got to walk away. I can't be doing this anymore. This isn't fair on the general public. And
And then
he
from
turned
there,
around.
oh,
Sorry.
sorry. From there, where did you go after that?
Well, I think it was about 3 months after that. A friend of mine who I met through doing the Most Haunted Experience events, Sam, she phoned me up and asked me if I would present their show, Truth Beyond Paranormal.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And straight away, I'm like, no problem. I'll do it. And so we started off, I think this is now our 7th season.
Awesome.
So we started with RAF Upwood in Cambridgeshire, and we had 15 team members at the time.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I love it.
And it was because we put a call out to anybody that was interested in doing paranormal investigations and would like to go out filming an
Right?
event. And we had all these people said, yeah, they'd be up for it. And we went out, we got into this abandoned RAF base. But we found that there was so many people that you always ended up with one group would not be so nice to other people, or they would say, oh, so and so got her information wrong, I don't want to work with her. And we just like, look,
That's
if
the
we're going to
hardest
be
part,
doing
trying to
this,
deal with all the personalities, right?
yeah, if
Yeah.
we're going to be doing this as a team, then we need to get on with each other. If you can't
Yeah.
get on with each other, then you're not part of the team.
Right. Yeah.
And in the end, we went from 15 people down to just 6.
Yeah, well, sometimes the bigger, more crowd that you have it's just more chaotic and harder to.
Yeah,
It's like
but
herding cats.
yeah, and what we've got now is we've got a family. We've got myself, Sam, and her husband Marcus. We are the 3 original cast members.
Gotcha.
Then we have my partner Ellen, who joined with us, and then we had an old school friend of mine, Mick, who I asked would he like to come on board, and he
Nice.
jumped to the chance.
Yeah.
So, and then we had my partner's best friend, Chloe. She joined us as well.
So that's a good crowd.
We've got a nice little group, and we are now literally, we look at each other as family. We're not just
Well,
work colleagues.
that brings meetings to the word parafamily when people say it. It's not. It's really
Yeah,
not
it does.
fake. It is a family, because a lot of
Yeah.
people don't want to talk about it, like, shall we say, normal people. But when you talk to your parafamily, you can talk about anything, right?
Exactly. I mean, we've been out now. We've done like all our filming events and everything else. I mean, we did one 2 weeks ago at an abandoned, well, I say abandoned, a village or a town that had been swept into the North Sea in Dunwich in Suffolk.
Wow.
Back in the 1700s, there was a load of storms, and the storm surges swept the town away into the sea. And there's only one street left out of the whole town.
Now, was that with Truth Beyond, or was that with Spooky Nori?
That was Truth Beyond Paranormal.
Okay.
That was filming an episode.
Yeah.
We had been there before, and we'd managed to get in contact with the spirit of a 9-year-old girl called Charlotte, who was a patient in the leper hospital when it was in its height in the 1700s, and she didn't want to leave. She didn't want us to leave, and we finished doing the investigation in the chapel of the old leper hospital, which is all that's left of it now.
Right.
And as we were walking up the road, we heard these footsteps behind us, and it was about midnight. Now, this one street of this town has literally got 20 houses on it, and that's it. And not many children, but at midnight, we could hear these tiny footsteps running up behind us. And when we turned around with our torches on, There were wet footprints running up the main road towards us, and then
Oh,
they
that's
stopped.
amazing. Okay.
They stopped at a standstill right behind us, and we were like, "Oh my word!" And my partner Ellen said, "That's Charlotte. She wants to come home with us."
I was
And
just
we
going
had
to
to,
ask you that. Do you ever get any attachments go home with you?
we had to tell her that she had to stay there,
Okay.
and then all the activity stopped until we got onto the beachfront where the main part of the town used to be.
Right.
Then we had all strange things going on. We could hear footsteps walking along the beach, and yet when we went down to where the footsteps were heard, there were no footprints at all on the beach. There was no, there was no imprint on the stones on the beach.
Wow.
But there was no sign of anybody there. There was almost a full moon, and we couldn't see anybody. But by this time, it was about 1:30 in the morning. And
Yeah,
apart
like
from
I
night,
wouldn't expect to have kids out that late, right?
apart from night fishermen on the beach, you wouldn't have seen anybody else down there. But the night fishermen always have a light or something
Yeah.
lit where they are. We couldn't see anybody, and yet we could clearly hear these footsteps walk straight past us.
Wow.
Nothing was there. And there is the legend of the Lady of Dunwich, who was in a relationship with a man who decided he was going to go into a relationship with somebody else, and he went off to sea, and in a rage she cuts out a heart and throws it into the sea.
Ooh.
And the legend states that if anybody finds a heart-shaped stone or a wooden heart on the beach, leave it alone and don't touch it, because it will bring you bad luck.
Right.
So we spent about half an hour walking along the beach, checking to make sure there was no heart-shaped objects on the beach.
Yeah,
And
you don't
said,
want to bring any of that home with you.
if you see anything, don't touch it. Leave it there. We don't want to ruin things. So we went back. Only this time round, we were in an old abbey, which was destroyed with the dissolution of the monasteries by Henry VIII.
Oh.
And we were using a ghost hunting tools app on our phones.
Yes.
And it said woods. And we went, "You want us to go to the woods?" And he went, "Yes."
Oh.
So we said, "Okay." But the thing was that this old monastery had nothing but fields around it.
Oh,
But
so
at the end of the fields, you could see a brick wall running right the way around, apart from one little place. And you could see what looked like a gate, a gated entrance.
right.
So we said, "We'll go through there into the woods." So we've walked through, we've carried on walking through the woods, not seeing anything. And then all of a sudden, there was a dip into a ditch. We've got into this ditch and we've turned to look towards where the sea was, and there's a bridge. And it was a big concrete walk bridge. And it looked so out of place. It just did not belong there.
Okay.
And we were taking pictures of it. We were walking through underneath it.
Yeah.
And we were like, "Where does this bridge lead to?" And when we looked, it led to a fence with the word "private" written on it. And we're like, what a random thing to have in the middle of woodland.
Yes. Yeah,
It's,
it's weird.
and there was no footpath connected to it. We were looking for this footpath, and there was nothing there
Just
apart from this concrete bridge.
a rando concrete bridge.
Yeah,
And it
so
looked
it
pretty old.
didn't serve any purpose.
Mhm.
Didn't serve any purpose. And so we sort of, right, okay, we left and went back to the monastery again. But it was really weird to find something that you didn't expect to see in this sleepy little village. Was this concrete bridge.
We get on the spirit box and it'll say to us, "Move forward," or "Move to the right," or it'll tell you where it wants you to go.
Yep.
And it's interesting because when you follow or do where it wants you to go, you do find stuff or see stuff, or it'll say, "Look, I'm here," or "Take a picture." Like it even tells you what to do.
Yeah.
And then later go back and look at the picture, and sure enough, there's something in the window, right?
Yeah. I mean, when it's random things, then you look at it and you say to yourself, well, if it's going to be random, is there going to be a connection?
Yeah.
And a good majority of the times there isn't a connection. But when you do get a connection with something,
It's
it
amazing.
it just blows your mind because you're like, wow, that's actually come out with something and it's there.
Yeah.
And to see this concrete bridge, we all just looked at each other as if to say, can't believe it's here. You know, wow. That's all I can say on that.
You never know what's going to happen when you talk to the spirit box. So I have something here I was going to pull up. I was going to ask you about it. It looked kind of interesting because I know you talked about the RAF, but then I saw here spooky Nuri events in a nuclear bunker. What? Tell me about that.
Well, Spookinori events, I mean, it came second. What came first was Wayne Seaden Presents Spookinori, which is my books.
Right? Yeah, I
So,
got your books here. I can pull them up.
yeah,
Just give me a second here. We can talk about them too. Do you want to talk? What do you want to talk about first, the bunker or the books?
I think if we go by the books, because that's the timeline.
Okay, let me go back to the. I've got
Because
one here. Excuse me, a whistle in the woods.
oh, whistle from the hills.
Oh, it's on woods because I was
Yeah.
woods on the brain. Because today the spirit box kept telling us the woods were cursed and haunted, and don't go in the woods.
Yeah.
Whistle from the hills. Is this one
So
of the first ones?
that's my first book.
Yeah.
That's my first publication. Well, while I was working with Most Haunted, to allow people to have something interesting to sort of keep them going in between the seasons, I would record or I would do live a ghost story that I'd created. And it started originally as Wayne Seaden Presents Most Haunted's Spookinori.
Okay.
And that originated from we used to have on children's TV a show called Jackanori.
Jack and Ori?
Where a celebrity would read a children's book on TV.
No.
And I thought, do you know what? I think I will call mine Spookinori because they're ghost stories. And there will be a series of books. It won't just be the odd one. There'll be a series. So Spookinori, that came about. When I left Most Haunted, that was one thing I was able to leave with was the Spookinori name. So I started to release with The Whistle from the Hills, and then my second publication, which is Lady J.
Yep, I got that one pulled up here.
A lot of them are either from personal experiences or historical fact. So A Whistle from the Hills was originally based on the first main airborne attack of Crete during World War II.
Okay.
And it tells the story of a group of people that were cornered by the Germans during that attack. And then it fast forwards to modern day where somebody hears the tale of the missing town. So he goes to Crete and he discovers where the people ended up. And nobody at that point knew where they were. And he discovers where all these people are. So that one has always been a favourite of mine because it involved a lot of research.
Yeah, a lot of history, right? And even better that they found him.
Yeah.
So they could put a monument or something there.
But it has a twist at the end, and you're sort of throughout the book itself, you're led to believe nobody knows anything about these people. And then right at the end, this twist comes along and everybody goes, oh, right, okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, a happy surprise.
Yeah, it is a happy but nice surprise. It has a very good ending to it.
Everybody loves a happy ending.
Yeah, I'm yet to write one. Well, I say I'm yet to write one. I'm currently writing my 5th book, and that doesn't have a happy ending. So,
yeah,
you know, I've got them broken the mold.
With the Spookinori Way?
Sorry?
What number is that one? That's number 5?
Right, yeah. The one I'm writing now is number 5. Lady J is book 2.
Yeah.
And that's about a group of friends that go to a beer festival. only they're running late and they decide to stop in this old house, and lots of strange things start going on. And half of them sort of don't come out again. But this one does have. This one was my first real exploration into gore.
Okay.
And more into the horror side of things. So I wrote a bit about more about the physical attributes of the human body when it's put under certain circumstances.
Yeah.
And so it was quite descriptive in places, but it actually became one of my best-selling books.
Some people love the guts and gore.
I thought,
gore
I've
fans,
obviously.
right? So how
I've
is that
obviously
related to this though, with the bunker?
Right. Well, obviously, this is mine and my partner Ellen's public events company, and we couldn't think of a better name than to carry on with the Spookinori theme and call it Spookinori Events.
Yeah, I love that.
So anybody that reads the books and follows the Facebook page and the Facebook group will automatically know Spookinori Events.
Mm-hmm.
And the team behind Spookinori Events is also the same team that works Truth Beyond Paranormal.
And that's a good big family that you got there.
Yeah. We've just included 2 new members. We have Joe and Candice who live not far from us, and we just recently invited them to come on board as team members because sometimes certain team members can't make it, or Sam and Marcus, our directors, they live about 2.5 hours away from where we are.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes they might not be able to make it. So we've made sure we've got plenty of team around us.
Are you still doing the Dark Mirror too?
Look at that. Great minds think alike. Now, we have 2 members of Spookinori Events who live 2.5 hours north of us. That is my co-host, Mark Manley, from the Dark Mirror radio show.
Okay.
So yeah, we are still doing that. Unfortunately, now we've got Mark is working on security at a holiday park. So sometimes he struggles to be able to get home in time to do the radio show. But we do try our best to do that every Monday if we can, where we just basically talk about conspiracy theories, UFOs and aliens.
That's all fun stuff too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's again, this is, I think, when people look into the paranormal, I don't think it should just be ghosts.
No, it should be everything, all of the above. Because when I say the word paranormal, I don't think about just the woo. I also think about, the cryptid creature aspect of it, the metaphysical, and also, a lot of people, the UFO aspect of it. And then there's, like I said, the metaphysical portion of it.
Yeah.
And you can go pretty deep into that stuff.
I mean, we have the parapsychologist Kieran O'Keefe said, if it's not normal, it's paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that falls in that criteria should be looked into.
Yep, supernatural.
And so that's why I've sort of broadened my horizons, not just to look at ghosts and hauntings, but also into ufology, possibility of aliens, cryptozoology. But we've also gone into conspiracy theories as well, because one of the biggest conspiracy theories that is yet to be fully answered is, are there beings from other worlds visiting Earth?
Maybe they don't visit, they probably live here.
This is what we're finding, that there are a lot of
beings
things going on.
Us coming back?
Well, one of the things that me and Mark looked into, and we did an episode on Truth Beyond Paranormal, we went to Rendlesham Forest in Suffolk.
Okay.
Which is the UK's version of the Roswell incident.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Jim Penniston apparently had touched the actual UFO, and he got a binary code come up in his vision.
No way.
From the sources we found on various internet sites, somebody translated that binary code, and it states that he was given the message from the beings in that craft that they were us from the future.
Okay, well, you never know, right? I mean, there's so many different theories.
Yeah, so it would add to sort of the theory behind dimensional travel rather than, space and time travel. You've got dimensional
it's like
travel as well.
Stargate,
Yeah.
Wayne, it kind of makes me think about that kind of thing. Who's to say we haven't already figured out Stargate and time travel?
Yeah, I mean, Mark dropped a bombshell a couple of weeks ago by saying about how the powers that be, like Lockheed Martin, have got technology that's 30 years ahead.
Oh, 100%. You know that working
else.
with the RAF, that first it's military and then it comes out into the normal world many, many years later. Like our microwave and everything else, right?
And we look at the likes of the SR-71 Blackbird.
Yes, yeah.
The fastest aircraft ever to go into production.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing's been able to beat it yet. Well, that was almost 60 years ago.
That's right. Can you imagine what we got now?
So, and that leads me to Rendlesham Forest, because while we were there, we started filming just before sunset.
Okay.
And we were standing at the East Gate, which is where the guards originally saw the lights in the forest. And we were being watched. We didn't know we were being watched.
By the guards.
We were being watched.
Mm.
And we just finished doing the introduction to the show. And this white pickup truck pulls up to the gates. And they just sit there. And we're like, okay, we're in a public area, so we're not doing anything wrong.
Right.
So we moved down. We went to the car park, which is at the bottom of the runway, still on public land.
Right.
And we filmed another section. And this white pickup truck had come down on the inside of the fence and stopped. And these two guys dressed in camouflage gear got out of the vehicle and stood there watching us. Couldn't see if they were holding anything, but they just stood there. And we're like, no, this isn't right. So again, we picked up our stuff. We walked to the path that leads down to the alleged landing site. And they were still standing there watching us going down the footpath.
Hmm.
And then for the rest of the night, we could hear things in the forest that sounded like human footprints.
Okay.
So, with if it was a deer or a fox, the sound would be different than if it was a human being sort of moving about in the brush.
100%.
So we thought this ain't right. We're being watched for some reason. And all of a sudden, we looked up and we could see these two white lights, just pure white lights. There was no flashing lights, just pure white lights. Came straight over the top from west to east, disappeared. And we were looking at it and we were, okay, that's not right. Then Mark turned around to me and he said, look straight above us. So I looked up and there was a solid white object one side of the clearing and another one on the other side. And we sat there watching. Okay. Took pictures. Still nothing. Then all of a sudden they shot off to the east. And as we were watching them disappear in the east direction, we saw another white object, and it was doing that, like a wave pattern.
Okay.
Going from south to north, but in the east. We thought, okay, this is weird. Then none of these things have got marker lights, and that one was moving rather odd. Anybody that was inside that vehicle and doing them sort of maneuvers, they'd be
mushed. Yeah.
You wouldn't survive it.
No.
And then all of a sudden someone went, what's above us? And we all looked up and it was the black triangle, the TR-3B.
Oh, jeez.
It was right above our heads. right in the clearing, right over where we were, was this black triangle, and there was a white light in each corner, and we just stared at it.
Do you think
Mark
you
was like,
stumbled across their training ground or something? Or
well, we weren't too sure because obviously with the rumour of the TR-3B, everybody thinks that's a military aircraft.
mm-hmm.
And it's using stealth. It's also using a new propulsion system. But to actually see it, we were gobsmacked as long with seeing the other 5 objects.
And you couldn't hear it, right? Not because that's the one that's quiet.
The only thing we could hear was a humming noise, and that we heard all throughout the night.
Okay.
And we knew it was there because there was hardly any clouds. There was a few wisps of clouds, but the moon was out, and it was a 3/4 moon. So there was a little bit of light bouncing off the clouds, and you could see the clouds going underneath this object.
Wow. Okay.
So we knew it was quite high up. And we just stood there. Mark took a photo. Well, we took about 6 photos, and you could not see any stars in that triangle. You could see stars everywhere else in that triangle. And we must have been sitting there watching it for about 45 seconds, and then all of a sudden, it gone.
Gone.
And
yeah, they were checking you out.
we then found the reason why, because we'd gone onto the Civil Aviation Authority's website, and all these objects that we had been looking at weren't on the radar. But all of a sudden, 2 F-15s from RAF Lakenheath came flying over from west to east and were on the flight radar. And went straight after whatever the object was above us. And then it just went completely flat. The humming stopped. The walking around the woods, we couldn't hear anybody walking around. There was no birds. You couldn't hear any bugs. Nothing. It was just completely quiet. And we're like, to be honest, there's still something going on here. And when you look back in the history of Rendlesham Forest, there's always been something going on there, even before the military were there.
Do you think it could be a black box thing? That's us? Like a DARPA thing or something?
Yeah, it's quite possible because RAF Bentwaters and RAF Woodbridge are 2 bases that were very close to each other. Yeah. And RAF Bentwaters used to have nuclear weapons.
Okay.
And I think it was
new propulsion is nuclear?
Well, it's possible because the actual Rendlesham Forest incident back in the 80s, it was originally picked up at RAF Bentwaters, where something had flown over one of the areas that nuclear weapons were being stored and shone a beam down on the bunker.
Oh.
And it then disappeared.
But then obviously collecting some of the energy, because you know how they say it always comes around and hovers around. It's probably
we think it's quite possible they were using the nuclear energy to power their own craft. And there has been a lot of cases of that, even in the United States, where missile silos have just shut down for no reason.
Right, yeah.
But there has been strange objects in the area at the same time.
Well, Wayne, you know what they say about Star Trek? All the stuff that's on there eventually, gets created. Like Kirk had that little thing that he opens up, right? And you know, and the doors that Well, I guess we won't talk about conspiracy theories anymore. Hey, Wayne.
Well, that's happened before on the Dark Mirror radio show when we've been talking about things like that. We had our comments muted, and we had to restart the live 3 times before it stopped.
Okay. Well, the last time something like this happened was when I was on Mac Maloney's Military X-Files, and we started talking conspiracy theories, and we got kicked off. Same thing happened. So I guess we'll switch switch gears and talk about podcasty stuff. I know we were talking about Spooky Nori. Are you still you're still co-hosting a lot of other different ones too?
Yes, we've had the boss Willow. She's taken a break for a little bit. She's had a bit of a bad time recently, so she's taken a bit of a time off. So what we've been trying to do is trying to continue with the two main podcasts that we all co-host together.
Right.
The Thursday evening one seems to have gone on hold, and we're filling in with other shows. And then
Yeah.
the Friday nights, that's the Mystical Carousel show. Yeah, on the Thursday nights at at 9 o'clock, which is usually sort of a plethora of different hosts, but it's usually me, Willow, and Lynn Murphy. Usually hosting that with a couple of other people that come in at random. And then on Friday is Fools and Ghouls. Now we decided we would have the light-hearted side of the paranormal, and have a bit of humour whilst we talked about the paranormal, because I said to Willow once that when we are out on investigations, sometimes it's good to have a bit of fun at the same time, because positive energy is so strong that if you want spirit to use that energy, they've got an abundance of it to use.
I find actually I get more activity when you do really stupid, funny stuff. And because they get really bored with, oh, who are you? When did you die? And all this, same old stuff, right?
Yeah.
But if you start talking and like doing funny stuff, oh my gosh, we get so many responses with the real like off the wall stuff.
So that's why we do Fools and Ghouls, and that's on Facebook at 8 o'clock on a Friday evening. And that's just the light-hearted side of the paranormal, which is it's so much fun to do, and we have such a lot of fun doing it that we have to keep it going.
Yeah, you got to keep it fun, right, Wayne?
Yeah, definitely.
So we're coming up soon to the 55-minute mark there. Do you want to give any shout outs about your Spooky Nori events? I know we didn't really get to talk much about them.
Yeah, well, I mean, Spooky Nori events, we have a Facebook group. We don't do many because I've got a family with 4 children. I'm doing my books and my other little projects as well that we're doing. So we tend to do about between 4 and 8 events a year, if we can, and they will be in various places, and we try to make them as affordable as possible. So we contact the venue says it will be this much. We will say to people, this is how much a ticket is, and it will only be a couple of pound over what the costing price is. And we then go out and we will buy food and drinks for the people to eat and drink while they're there at no extra cost. So we pride ourselves at being a non-profit company, which, I think because it's something I enjoy doing, and I like other people to experience what I've experienced, and they shouldn't have to pay through the nose by paying out for 3 times as much to go with people on TV that aren't quite necessarily showing you the true side of the paranormal investigation.
Right.
So I just say to people, we've got this venue. It's £25 a ticket. There's food and drink available free of charge. If anybody needs transport up there, let us know, and we'll even have team members come and pick you up. So we've even provided transport for people as well.
Love it. Wayne, tell us, for the folks who are listening now, where we can find you and all your awesome stuff. Because we never really touched much on Wayne's Weird and Wonderful World, even though I called the theme that. I called it that actually because you're involved with so many different aspects. So, but there actually is a Wayne's Weird and Wonderful World.
There is a Wayne's Weird and Wonderful World. It's a project I've decided to do on my own. And that is just going to be short video episodes of weird, strange, and bizarre things from around the known universe.
Love it. Awesome.
And I will just pick on a certain subject, and I will just do a little documentary about it.
Okay. And for the folks listening, do you want to give a shout out on where they can find you and all your awesome stuff?
Yes, well, I mean, my main profile is on Facebook. I exist on TikTok as well for my sins. I have a YouTube channel which has a few of my early Spookanories that are yet to be remastered as such. They're on there, and a piece of music that I composed as well, along with a viral Halloween image.
And we can get all your books, Spooky books on Amazon.
Okay, the Spooky books, they can either be brought on Amazon, or they can be brought personally and directly from myself.
We scour lands and sail the seas. Energies collide in the spectral storm, solving mysteries out on the north. Radio signals from distant stars, proof of life beyond Mars. Eyes to the heavens, searching strong, believing we'll find where they belong. Aliens in the sky, we shout, where's the truth? Let's find it out. Science bound yet hearts of steel. The unknown close, yet surreal. Yet surreal. Yet surreal. Yet surreal. In a realm where reason flees, we scour lands and sail the seas. Energies collide in a spectral storm, solving mysteries out of the norm.